Have you ever walked into a networking event, immediately felt your heart rate spike, and thought, I'd rather be literally anywhere else right now? You're not alone. A recent study found that 82% of professionals feel anxious about networking, with many ranking it more stressful than public speaking or job interviews. But here's what's fascinating. The most connected, opportunity-rich people in any industry aren't naturally gifted networkers. They simply know a 10-second mental shift that transforms networking from awkward to effortless. And today, I'm going to share it with you. Look, I get it. I used to be the person hiding in the corner at events, pretending to send important emails on my phone while secretly counting down the minutes until I could leave without seeming rude. The thought of approaching strangers and trying to make meaningful connections felt about as natural as trying to breathe underwater. And all that advice about just be yourself or hand out as many business cards as possible? Not helpful at all. But everything changed when I discovered what psychologists call the connection framework, a simple mental shift that takes just 10 seconds to implement but completely transforms how networking feels. This isn't about memorizing clever opening lines or forcing yourself to become an extrovert. It's about understanding the one fundamental misunderstanding that makes networking feel awkward in the first place. In this video, I'm breaking down the three-part connection framework that will forever change how you approach networking. The 10-second mindset shift that instantly removes the pressure. The question formula that creates genuine connections in under 2 minutes. The follow-through system that turns brief encounters into valuable relationships. Part 1. The 10-second mindset shift. The first part of the connection framework is what I call the 10-second mindset shift, and it's the foundation for everything else. Here's the shift. Stop thinking about what you can get and start focusing on what you can give. That's it. That's the 10-second fix. But let me explain why this simple shift is so powerful. Most of us approach networking with an underlying mindset of, what can I get from this interaction? Even if we're not consciously thinking it, this mindset creates subtle pressure. We feel like we need to impress others, extract value, or walk away with something tangible, a job lead, a client prospect, a valuable connection. This get mindset is what makes networking feel transactional and uncomfortable. It's why conversations feel forced and why you might leave events feeling drained rather than energized. But when you flip the script and approach each interaction with the question, what can I give to this person? Everything changes. The pressure dissolves instantly. You're no longer performing or trying to extract value. You're simply looking for ways to be helpful. The beauty of this mindset shift is that what you can give doesn't have to be anything grand. I remember applying this at a conference where I knew absolutely no one. Instead of worrying about who I should talk to or how I could benefit, I simply approached each conversation thinking, how can I add value to this person's day? Sometimes that meant asking thoughtful questions about their work. Other times it meant connecting them with someone else I'd just met who shared their interests. The result? Not only did the anxiety disappear, but I left with 3 meaningful connections that eventually led to collaboration opportunities, all because I wasn't trying to get anything from those initial conversations. So that's the 10-second mindset shift. What can I give? Not what can I get? Take those 10 seconds before your next networking opportunity to remind yourself of this perspective, and you'll immediately feel the difference. Part 2. The question formula. Now that you've made the mindset shift from getting to giving, the second part of the connection framework is the question formula, a simple approach to conversations that creates genuine connections in under 2 minutes. The formula has 3 parts. Open with curiosity, follow with specificity, connect with commonality. Let's break these down. First, open with curiosity. The goal here is to ask a question that shows genuine interest and can't be answered with a simple yes or no. Instead of, do you like working at your company? Try, what's been the most interesting project you've worked on recently? Notice how the second question invites a story rather than a one-word answer. It gives the other person room to share something they're likely passionate about, which immediately creates a more engaging conversation. Second, follow with specificity. Once they've answered your opening question, ask a more specific follow-up based on something they shared. If they mentioned working on a marketing campaign, you might ask, what was the most challenging part of developing that campaign? Or, how did you measure its success? This specificity accomplishes two things. It shows you were actually listening, which is sadly rare in networking contexts, and it helps the conversation go deeper rather than broader. Third, connect with commonality. After they've shared more details, look for an authentic connection point, something you have in common, or something in their experience that resonates with you. This doesn't have to be a major similarity. It could be as simple as, that reminds me of a challenge I faced in my work with, or, I'm also really interested in that approach too. The key is that this connection should be genuine, not forced. If you can't find a direct commonality, you can connect through curiosity. I've never worked in that field, but I'm fascinated by how you approach that problem. Part 3. The follow-through system. The third part of the connection framework is the follow-through system, the process that transforms brief encounters into valuable relationships. This is where most networking efforts fall apart. You have a great conversation, exchange contact information, and then nothing happens. The connection fades away because there's no structure for following up. The follow-through system has 3 simple steps: the 24-hour note, the value bridge, the no-pressure check-in. Let's look at each one. First, the 24-hour note. Within 24 hours of meeting someone, send a brief, personalized message referencing something specific from your conversation. This isn't about asking for anything, it's simply acknowledging the connection and keeping it warm. For example, "Hi Sarah, it was great talking with you about community research methods at the industry event yesterday. Your approach to combining qualitative interviews with survey data was really insightful. Hope the rest of the event was valuable for you." Second, the value bridge. Within 1 week, share something of value related to your conversation, an article, a resource, an introduction, or even just a thoughtful question that continues the discussion. The key is that this should be genuinely helpful, not a thinly veiled attempt to promote yourself. For example, "Hi Sarah, I remembered our conversation about community research and thought you might find this article helpful. It explores some innovative methods for gathering feedback from hard-to-reach populations. No need to respond, just thought it might be useful for your project." Third, the no-pressure check-in. About a month later, reach out with a friendly update or question that invites, but doesn't demand, continued conversation. This keeps the connection alive without creating obligation. For example, "Hi Sarah, hope your community project is going well. We just wrapped up our volunteer program launch and used some of the research approaches we discussed. I'd love to hear how your work is progressing when you have a moment, but no pressure at all." Common obstacles and solutions. Now you might be thinking, this all sounds great in theory, but what about when things don't go as planned? Let's address some common obstacles. Obstacle 1. What if I can't think of anything valuable to offer? Solution. Remember that your attention and interest are valuable. Sometimes the most meaningful thing you can offer is being fully present in the conversation and asking thoughtful questions that help the other person process their own thoughts. Obstacle 2. What if the conversation falls flat despite using the question formula? Solution. Not every connection will spark, and that's okay. If a conversation isn't flowing naturally after your initial attempts, it's perfectly fine to politely wrap it up and move on. A simple, "It was nice talking with you. I'll let you connect with some other folks here," is all you need. Real-world application. Let's look at how this framework applies in different networking contexts. For formal networking events, Arrive with the giving mindset already activated. Before the event, think about what specific value you might offer to people in that particular industry or context. Use the question formula to navigate initial conversations, and have your phone ready to make notes about follow-up points right after meaningful exchanges. For virtual networking, the same principles apply, but you might need to be more intentional about creating conversation opportunities. In virtual events, use the chat function to ask thoughtful questions of speakers or fellow attendees. Follow up with connection requests that reference specific points from the event. For everyday professional interactions, not all networking happens at designated events. Apply this framework to conversations with colleagues from other departments, vendors, or even people you meet in non-professional settings who share interests with you. So there you have it, the three-part connection framework that transforms networking from awkward to effortless. The 10-second mindset shift from getting to giving. The question formula that creates genuine connections. The follow-through system that builds lasting relationships. The next time you feel that networking anxiety creeping in, take 10 seconds to remind yourself, I'm here to give, not to get. Then use the question formula to create a genuine connection and follow through systematically to nurture that relationship over time. If you found this approach helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more practical strategies to navigate professional challenges. And let me know in the comments, which part of this framework do you think will help you the most? Until next time, remember, the best networking doesn't feel like networking at all, it just feels like connecting.